Voltron Season 3, Episode 2, Red Paladin. Now, the interesting thing about this episode is that I oddly felt like this could have been titled Changing of the Guard. Like, I understand why the premiere was called that because it's the changing of the guard from the villain's perspective, but I felt like this episode really deserved that title a lot more because we had 3 out of 5 members changing lions. Or technically, we had 2 out of 5 members changing lions, and then we have a brand new character being introduced into actually piloting a lion. So, I get why it was called Red Paladin because, of course, it starts off with, our new leader in Keith, where he takes over for Shiro. So it's like, of course, he's going to take over the Black Lion. I think like everyone, it was kind of just simple. It's like, okay, he's taking over the Black Lion, Allura's going to take over the Red Lion. It just seemed like it made sense because, of course, Allura's going to be the next person to take over. It would have been very interesting if Karan was the one, because that would have... I was kind of going based off of what I know about the original series, and I was just like, I know Allura's going to be the one to take over. So that would have been a twist for sure if it was Karan. But I was like, okay. So, Red Lion's not working with her. I just assumed, end of the episode, she'll be with the Red Lion. But then, as they're going into battle, their first big battle with, Keith taking Shiro's place as the leader of the Black Lion, it switches things up, and Lance can't get into the Blue Lion. And I was like, oh, well, I didn't see that coming, which means that, of course, Allura's going to take the Blue Lion, which means he's going to end up taking the Red Lion. And I thought that was actually really awesome. I was very surprised that that was how it played out, but I was like, that's actually very cool. So it led to some interesting moments with funny dialogue for sure, because they had a moment with Lance where he tries to sweet talk the lion. I thought that was pretty funny. But it was just a really good moment, and it's like, when Allura goes to him, and then they hear the Red Lion, she explains to him why he's now going to be the pilot of the Red Lion, where it's like, my father wanted to be the leader, but he knew that Zarkon should have been the leader. Like, he, as the person who even made Voltron, he knew that he wasn't meant to be the leader, and he accepted that fate, so he became the right hand, which, common phrase is the right hand man, that's your, second in command. And so Lance is now in the second in command position because he, for as much of a rivalry as Keith and Lance have, Lance accepted the fact that the Black Lion wanted Keith to take over as the leader. So with that being the case, he now became the second in command as, the actual right hand. I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense, and he's taking Allura's father's place, how it was in the past. I was like, that's actually pretty cool. And then she's like, okay, so he knows that he's now piloting the Red Lion, and she's walking away, and the Blue Lion opens up, and she's like, oh, well, I didn't see that coming, like I didn't. And so now she's the pilot of the Blue Lion, and she remains as she's the Pink Paladin, which is also what she was in the original series as well. I don't know if it was the same reasoning, where she talks about the reason it's pink is to honor fallen comrades and stuff like that. So I thought that was cool. Another thing that's pretty funny is that with them switching up the paladins for the lions, with them still being, Keith is still the Red Paladin for, the Black Lion, and Lance is technically still the Blue Paladin for the Red. It's kind of like the original series, where the paladins didn't actually match their lions. That was actually a thing in the original series, where it would be like the Red was with the Blue Lion instead of, they'd be all switched around. And I feel like that was kind of the point, to reference the original series. Like, oh, in the original series, the paladins, for whatever reason, they didn't make them match the actual lion colors. Like, even from the beginning of the series, they did not match the lion's colors. So I thought that was actually pretty interesting. And I heard that this was actually I believe I heard this was the first series where the paladins ever actually matched the colors of the lions. I believe that's what I heard. I could be wrong, that it's not the first series where that happened. But I was like, oh, that's interesting, that they may or may not be referencing, the original series and how the paladins didn't actually match the lions. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. So eventually, they figure this out, and they go out, they end up helping out Shiro, Pidge, and Hunk because they were in a disastrous situation with Lotor and his crew, who have a pretty cool moment where we get to see the different tactics of these characters. Particularly, we get to see what goes on. I can't remember, his generals, I can't remember any of their names just yet, but the character who has the cat actually can see through the cat's eyes. Sadly, not, Masters of the Universe type move like I was expecting, where the cat turned into a crazy lion. I was really looking forward to that. I really thought it was going to turn into a huge creature. But it's still cool. This character can see through the eyes of this cat. We don't know if it's exclusive to that, but I would assume it is. But it's kind of hard to say, because the character was walking around and the cat was on a building, so I would assume that this character can see through that helmet, but I don't know. Like, it's really hard to say. They do make a reference to it. I believe it's in the next episode of the character being blind. So I'm like, all right, well, is this like some Avatar stuff? You know, like some Toph moves or, you know, sound waves and everything. So I was like, I'm not 100% sure, but the character was clearly walking down a specific street and the cat was like on the rooftop. So I'm like, I'm not 100% sure. But it was definitely cool. We get to see the tactics there. And, you know, they take out this village that was in the, you know, for the very first episode, and then they're taking on all the lions, and Lotor as being like a super genius. Whereas, like, you know, we're figuring out what's happening here, and of course, once the Black Lion shows up, it's like, okay, we don't know what's going to happen next because we thought the Black Lion was gone, and that, you know, like, once the Black Lion shows up, that means that there are still 5 lions, which means they can form Voltron. But as things continue on, it's like, okay, maybe they can't. They're a bit disorganized here. Like, these aren't the same people that destroyed my dad. Like, this is some different stuff. So, you know, things are good here. Like, once the 5 lions show up, it's like, all right, you know, time to head out. But, you know, they get a couple of tactics in there. It's like, all right, we learned a little bit, but we take off. And that's when things start to build up a little bit. And Keith, as the new leader, continues kind of the loner position as the leader. And he takes right off and it's like, I put a tracker on the ship. We're headed right out there. Even though, and this was a great point when it happened. But it was like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. You know, we got like, you know, there's certain elements here that are not in play like they used to be. Things are different with the teams. People, you know, people are just in such different positions. They have to relearn or basically just learn the lions in general because, you know, they have very specific elements. You know, the red lion is really fast. The black lion just moves completely different than the red lion, and there are different controls and everything. There's just so many elements that they need to change. And Keith is just like going for the enemy. That's all there is to it, and that's pretty much, you know, what leads us into episode 3, which I have seen. Definitely good episodes, but of course, you know, sticking to this one, no spoilers for 3. But definitely a good episode. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I was surprised that they switched things around so much, but I certainly enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool, and it just, added a new element to the characters where it's like, all right, they have all their lions now, but they can't form Voltron. Like, right off the top, that's like, let's do it, and then they can't because they just don't have that control individually, let alone as, you know, as a team. So it was very cool. I was like, all right, I like this. It means they're going to have to build back up. You know, Voltron's still going to be this cool thing when they're able to do it because they still can't do it just yet right off the top, even though they have all 5 lions now. So I thought that was really cool. Excited for, you know, where we're headed. Like I said, I have seen episode 3, but excited in general, you know, for what they showed in this episode and the characters, you know, developing even further with them changing positions, specifically with Keith as the loner character forced to be, you know, the leader. He didn't even want it. Like, as soon as it works, he's just like, no, like, I don't want this. And when he leaves out, the first thing he says is like, I don't accept this. So, sorry I had to do that. I have a cold, so the throat's drying up real fast. But, you know, the first thing he says when he gets out to everyone is like, I don't accept this. Like, it can't be me. Like, I can't be the leader. I don't want to be the leader. So it was really cool. Like, I just like that idea. And, you know, like they said with Lance accepting Keith as the new leader and trusting the lion, that's what moved him to the red lion, and Allura moved to the blue lion. So there's just so many elements where it's like, this is a really cool episode. The characters changing and getting into new positions. You know, familiar but different, you know, with the characters switching lions, and then Allura's brand new position now being, you know, a paladin after all this time, even though she's so familiar with Voltron. But it was very cool, very, very interesting episode, and getting to see Lotor's generals kind of do their thing as they kind of swoop in and basically kind of take over really fast, you know, take over this planet. So really enjoyed that, and then, you know, Lotor kind of doing his thing, like, you know, loyalty and this and that, and not killing anybody. You know, he's kind of doing this facade thing where it's like, don't worry, you know, it's cool, join us, you know, be a part of this, you know, great army and help us out, be allies. But of course, he's still the ruler. That's just how it's going to play out. So very interesting, but definitely, I was definitely excited for the next episode before I saw it. But of course, 2 good episodes. I think this and the next episode go together very, very well. Actually, I think that, you know, if this is like the beginning of the season, easily could have been like a 2-parter. Like episode 2 and episode 3, I think, are really, really good complements to each other. With this being the start of, what I consider the changing of the guard with everyone, switching lions and everything. And then the next episode it's like the first episode where they really deal with it for like the whole episode. As where this was like half the episode was them trying to get into the lions, and then it's like finally we got our lions, and then everybody's together, and it's like okay, battle over, because they're just Lotor is just picking up information. So it's pretty funny, but it's like I definitely think they're good episodes to pair together. But of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about this one in general, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. And I definitely want to know what you guys think about everyone, well, I shouldn't say everyone, but I would love to know what you guys think about the characters switching up the lions, with it going beyond just, Shiro, the black lion. I shouldn't say it's Shiro's lion, it was just the black lion long before Shiro existed. But the black lion now going to Keith, and then the red lion now going to Lance, and the blue lion now going to Allura. I'd love to know where you guys think that's going to lead in the future, because all the different lions have, special abilities, which everyone, kind of figured out in the last 2 seasons. Like, oh, I figured out this new special ability. And then it's like, okay, well, now I'm in a new lion. So it's like totally different, special abilities and different tactics. The red lion moving faster, things like that. The blue lion is faster underwater and things like that. And ice attacks and just extra stuff that the characters learned in the past, but now they're switched, and it's like, well, I can't tell you how to do this attack because everyone's attachment to the lions is individual. Like, it's so unique. Even if it's the same lion with the same powers, it's unique to each different person that gets there. So they might unlock different abilities at different times, and it's just like, I'm excited to see how that changes the way they go into combat, especially individually. Like, once it's Voltron, it's kind of like, I'm sure that's going to be the same no matter what. But individually, it's like, crap, I'm alone and I need something to help me out. I'm sure it'll be very different compared to, the first 2 seasons, because it's, different people piloting the lions now. But we'll love to know what you guys think about them switching up so many of the characters within the lions. 3 out of 5 members are now in different lions. We'd love to know how you guys think that's going to impact the rest of the series. I was going to say the season, but I'm sure that's going to be a permanent thing. Depending on how stuff plays out with Shiro, I don't know if he'll come back and then he takes over again. It's hard to say now because Allura's taking over, so it's like, I don't really know what that means for Shiro's character when he eventually does, make his return. But we'll let you know how you guys think that's going to affect things in the future. And of course, want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.